Even in commemorating those of us who are no longer among us, it would be remiss of me not to appreciate each and every one of your zealous, ingenious, persistent, and unified sacrifice for our country. You are ridiculed, underestimated, threatened, and vilified, all in an attempt to break your resolve to reclaim your country. Through it all, you remained peaceful and focused on the noble objective of standing for what is right and what you deserve. Your courage is unparalleled, your patriotism unchallenged, and your unity against all political barriers unprecedented. You are exactly what you think you are. You are the heroes of today. The irrefutable gains of what you people stand for shines a bright ray of hope upon the future of our country. If you do not believe it yet, allow me to confirm to you that you people have achieved what many dreamed of and wished for, but few realized. A weak and unreliable parliament betrayed you, the people who they swore to represent you. Mlianguka now. A punitive tax regime was forced down the throats of Kenyans despite public outcry against the repressive finance bill. Mlianguka nayo. The political elite unified to run Kenya down the rabbit hole of treachery and deceit to deviate you from your resolve to bring change to Kenya. Namely, an ineffective, incompetent, and arrogant cabinet represented impunity and refused to work for the people from whom the power they exercised. And once again, today marks a crucial step in our progressive journey towards real sustainable change for our country. This is the onset of a series of deliberations by sovereign citizens of Kenya to reflect on who, where, and what we are as a country. The preamble to our constitution defines who we are. Article 10 prescribes what we ought to be, and the entirety of our constitution in its brilliant magnificence envisions where we ought to be as a nation. However, time without number, those to whom we have bestowed power and trust to deliver to us the dream of Katiba 2010 have failed us. Tumewapatia lakini wamekataa kuperform. Kenya finds itself in a constitutional moment, one where the people have reclaimed their sovereignty and are ready to rid of any individual, institution, or entity that jeopardizes the well-being of the country and defies constitutional principles. What started as demonstrations against the Finance Bill 2024 has spun into a domino effect that gives us an opportunity for change that is ours to lose. Shida zetu zikianguka bado, lazima zimeingia one leg. It is thanks to this realization that the Law Society of Kenya, all our partners and stakeholders have taken the obvious step to join all of you in forging the path on which we want our country set. Thank you for embracing us, thank you for allowing us to stand with you, and thank you for allowing us to be part of you. My speech was quite long, but I wanted to also highlight that we have seen changes in the Police Service Commission. We have seen so many trainings, but now we are saying we are going to hold you accountable. We are not going to sit and start discussing a way forward for training, better institutions for police. It's time for accountability. It's time that those who have been given power and have abused it to be held accountable. That's why we are here today, to count everyone and ensure no one is left behind. That when we are challenged that who are these people, where were they hurt, which place, we'll be able to table credible evidence as advocates and our different partners, that will be able to put this at the table. That should be part of the discussion. Any dialogue must start with information and telling us these number of people that we have collected this data, what are you doing about it? And we know that IPOA will be coming today, that IPOA may also take responsibility and take that mantle. We will not allow you to continue to fail us as a people of Kenya. You must also take up your place and hold any police officers that have been identified, have been seen. You can't tell us that you cannot find them, yet our Gen Zs, our millennials, our youth, our fellow Kenyans are able to trace them and to find their details and have shared them with you, but you refuse to do your work. To independent institutions, the judiciary, constitutional commissions, independent officers, and statutory bodies, it is high time you stand up to be counted. People have been killed by police, but IPOA is yet to act. People have been outed for corrupt conduct by EACC is yet to institute relevant proceedings. The helplessness feigned by our institution is the greatest enabler for the tribulations we face. The hesitation and refusal by proper mandated authorities to take action in the face of subversion of the rule of law and constitutional principles is the reassurance upon which our aggressors act with impunity. Government frustration and refusal to cooperate are in no way, shape, form, or fashion unacceptable excuse. The people are with you, they will support you, they will help you finish the job, but only if you start doing it and doing it well. Na hata nyinyi mkikataa, Wakenya mtafanya nini? Lastly, to the political leadership and elected representatives. There is no honor higher than being chosen by the people to serve your country. That honor requires delicate, deliberate, impartial, and accountable exercise of that authority that is donated to you. Hubris and bravado are vices that have no place in the Kenya of today. The people of Kenya awake to their full authority as the true sovereign, and their realization of the beauty of their unity draws the curtains on divisive ethnic politics that has historically been endemic in this Kenyan's politics. It's time to become leaders, not rulers. It is time to represent and serve the people, not to be demigods desperate for constant praise. It is time to act, not making unyielding promises. Henceforth, contempt for the people will never go unnoticed nor remain unresolved. Gen Z wame ini tofauti. Gen Z wamegotha. We will not believe, you will not believe. From the Law Society of Kenya and all our partners, we make our solemn understanding that what we have done over the last few weeks have been fueled by the strength we have drawn from your courage. For as long as you stand for what you believe is just, fair, and right before the law, we will stand for you and will fight for you. Join me in this final prayer, the prayer for our forefathers, the Father, the prayer of our nation. We say the first stanza of our national anthem in English. O God of all creation, bless this our land and nation. Justice be our shield and defender. May we dwell in unity, peace, and liberty. Plenty be found within our borders. I pray that God bless you and God bless Kenya. Really? Come here, let's come. Come, Steve.
I hope all our heads will fit inside. Let me come on this side. Let me come on the other side of it.
Steve.
Really off it. Tunarudia chini ama we are here now? Are we going back down? Do you go back down? Where's the next one there? Yeah. Watatuita in case they need us. All right, okay. Thank you very much to everyone. Really happy. Just for the president, perhaps the best president this country has ever seen. A better applause for Madam President, please. And absolutely, really great. The comments and seeing what we have to do today. I'd like to call us back to attention because we have a lot to cover today. My name is James Watt. Allow me to welcome all of you again for the second panel. On this second panel, we have Dr. Willie Mutunga, who's joining us on X-Space, the famous X-Space. All right, let's listen to Dr. Willie Mutunga from Retroactive Justice. All right, Dr. CJ.
Yes, I'm here.
Give us your comments.
Good morning. Gen Z and millennials, thank you very much for what you are doing. There is, I'm in Kabarak actually, and there is a joke going around here, which I think you should, I should tell you. Apparently, the president is going around looking for a general called General Z. This reminds me of Idi Amin going to the central bank looking for one of the workers who was called foreign exchange, who was never around in Uganda, and he wanted to kill him. So, my comment there are two comments that I want to make, and I've made them in other spaces. One is that what happened the other day, and I think this has been discussed, so I'm just reinforcing what we have always said for a long time, that the factions that rule Kenya cannot be described in the way we describe them as that there's one, faction that is the lesser evil, and that we have to choose evil. They have come together. They've shown that they are birds of the same political feather, and they have identified themselves as the enemy of the people. And that's progress, because we have had for the last 60 years or so the politics of division and the politics of monetization, which you must avoid, at all costs. And you have started a revolution. There's no doubt about that. And we wait and, we hope that you continue your political demands to emphasize, the concerns of your material interests and needs, education, health, jobs, struggles against foreign domination, housing, everything that is important for your existence. You posters have captured those particular issues in a revolutionary manner. I've loved the cause or the clarion cause, which you have called occupations. Even the occupation of IMF, and World Bank, making that connection between our rulers and our external rulers is very, very, very important if we are going to carry on this revolution to its successful change. So I've also want to praise you for breathing life into the constitution. We have a constitution that is fairly progressive, but we gave it to leaders who find it inconvenient and they don't want to implement it. But you've come to the scene and you're basically saying that you want to exercise our sovereign power directly. And I think that's what is reflected in the various calls for occupations, whether it's the occupation of parliament, occupation of state house, occupation of, I guess, the judiciary and all the institutions. So these are great clarion calls, and so I just want to finish by again glorifying what you're doing and asking you to keep your eyes on the prize, avoid divisions, because the people you are dealing with or the class you are dealing with, you should never underestimate them. They are geniuses in politics of division, ethnicity, religion, and if that doesn't work, they also got plenty of money to stop this particular movement. So thank you very much. Aluta continua, and victory is certain. Thank you.
Thank you very much, retired Chief Justice Dr. William Mutunga, giving us his thoughts. Let's get straight into it and introduce my panel for what we need to do next. Hussein Khalid, please join me on the stage. Irungi Houghton as well, join me on the stage. And Gloria Kimani of LSK Council member also join me on the stage. A round of applause, please, as they join me on stage. So for this panel, what we'd like to do is we want to capture reflections of what has happened in these last 4 weeks. There's been reported police excesses, there's been disappearance, abductions, illegal arrests, killings, injuries, and that sort of thing. And we haven't spent time as a country to capture exactly what has happened. What does that mean? In essence, are we saying that protesting is an illegal thing in this country? And if it's not, why did we see the reactions that we saw? Let me start with you, Hussein Khalid.
Thank you very much, Smart. And let me first of all congratulate everyone and the entire country. Comrades power! Comrades power! We're doing it, we're changing this country, and moving forward, things will never be the same. So I'll just speak briefly about my experiences on the ground as, a person who has been, visiting families, visiting the sick in hospital. I think there have been gross human rights violations in the last couple of weeks. Many families have suffered, continue to suffer. We have an entire ward at the Kenyatta National Hospital of victims of police excesses, and that's just one hospital. We have many other hospitals in different parts, not just of Nairobi, but of the entire country, that have people who are sick. Up to now, we're still trying to understand the magnitude of the violations that have been meted out on Kenyans. I think in the midst of everything, we get, taken up by the success, the dismissal of the cabinet, the withdrawal of the finance bill, and we forget to remember that people have paid with their lives and limbs for us to be where we are today, and they must never be forgotten. In a number of instances, some were even, approached. I remember we were at the burial of David Chege, and the police officers were there. And we had just gone there to drape the coffin with the flag and to give another flag to the family. And the propaganda that was going around was that this is supposed to be for the KDF only. This, the flagging of the coffins and everything. And they were told that if you bury your person with the flag, the government will later come, to exhume and get the flag. So there are things that are being said out there that are completely out of line. And I think it's important for us, and we are discussing, to remind Kenyans that this is an opportunity. We are supposed to be extremely lucky and, honored to be living in these times, because no other generation, this moment has never been there. So what we need to do is to continue encouraging each other and pushing each other forward. I think it was Kindiki who said that, the financiers, fellow criminals, power! Fellow criminals, power! And I remember they were threatening us, I don't know who the financiers, the organizers, the planners, you will face the consequences. Well, guess what? Hatutishiki, sindio? Nani ameanguka, sini wao wameanguka. So we're saying, this is a moment, and each and every one of us can play a role. The question that we need to ask, what are you doing to bring forward this change?
Okay, Hussein, I'd like to come back to you shortly, but I want to get to Gloria first on the question of the flags and the killings and those who lost the limbs. But Gloria, on the question of for protesting, I remember seeing the first day, Tuesday, droves and droves of people getting picked up and being put, in police vehicles, carted away to police stations. I want you to talk to me about this moment, about what does that moment mean legally, and what was the violation with that moment, and why do we keep seeing it?
Thank you so much, Alan, for that. And I would like to say that the Law Society of Kenya has, that day, it was a sad day for us, because that Tuesday, what happened was we had gone for a memorial for Honorable Monica, who was killed in the hands of the police. And we were called and we were told, we even had not set up the toll-free line for people to call advocates, and we were called that there are some advocates who have been arrested and they're in Central Police Station. And we asked ourselves the pertinent question. That time I remember we were with Steve and Tess, and we asked ourselves the question, why are we going to release only lawyers while people who have been peacefully demonstrating have been arrested? And I think we had a discussion with the president, and she said, yes, let's go bail them out. And I remember when going there, we didn't expect what we saw on that day. So we went to the police station, and we actually asked to be given the list of the people who have been arrested and their charges. And I remember it was a back and forth, and now lawyers from certain groups were called, come, let's release these people. And actually when they saw lawyers there, they saw us as a threat, because we are going to release the people who have been causing trouble, quote unquote trouble to them. So when we went there, we tried talking, they tried calling the president and saying, just tell your people to go till 6 p.m. And we asked them, why till 6 p.m. has the law been suspended till 6 p.m. that we can only release people after 6 p.m. And when we demanded to stay with the people who have been arrested in the police station, they threw tear gas at us. I remember even one of our council members, Otto, they threw canister, the tear gas canister at her. So the lawyers have been really harassed in this whole process. We saw even the other day in Nanyuki, where they had gone to to actually take, because this guy, I think Lewis, they were looking for Lewis and they were harassing him, going to his home, banging his door, and they decided, okay, let's take him to the police station. And when they went, they were all chased away. Lawyers were chased away and they were told, no, we want to speak to Lewis alone. And they said no. And it became a commotion. And they started beating the lawyers and chasing them out of the police station. So what does it mean? It is very lawful, especially for what had been happening in the first times of the demonstration, where people were coming out peacefully. They are just with their water bottles, they are just singing, chanting, and they were not causing any kind of fracas. And I think the government had not seen such kind of a thing. They thought everything will be organized, will be uniform, but when they saw large numbers coming and they were wondering, how can we contain these numbers? Because they thought it will just be like the normal ones, and by 2 p.m. they're at home, or 3 they're at home. So I think we need to defend the Constitution, and we are saying peace protesters. And that is the case we have seen all through. Peaceful protesters are being arrested, and that is what we are standing for. That you cannot just
live ammunition, rubber bullets, beating up protesters. But most importantly, we also saw police without uniform, completely face covered up, somehow mingling with the protesters, and the arrests, shoots, and perhaps some of those abductions happening. These moments. I want to ask you about what should the police be doing during protests, and what we just went through, just how illegal this whole is, and what can we do anything about it, or it's just a matter of, well, we reflect and then say, well, that's something bad has really happened, we need to move on.
So the illegalities in terms of policing that we saw over the last month or so did not start then. I think we have to go back to 2023, we have to go back to 2017, and we have to ask, why is it in a point where the state is being challenged on the basis of corruption, on the basis of inequality, on the basis of impunity? Why does the state respond so violently to peaceful protest? And as Amnesty International, we monitored with the Kenya Medical Association and Law Society, and of course many organizations here under the auspices of the Police Reforms Working Group. And we saw the pattern of policing essentially was to destroy the possibility of a peaceful protest. How that starts is commanding officers failing to accept letters of notification. The second thing that happens is arrest anybody you suspect to be an organizer. Now, what is a protest organizer? A protest organizer is also a marshal. It is the person who makes sure that when we write a letter to the OCS and we say, we are going to move from this point to this point, we are going to approach this government office, and we are going to hand over a petition here. That is the person that controls the crowds. So once you take those two quick actions, you immediately send a protest into confusion. And we have in Article 37. The second stage is to have police officers coming like criminals, either in balaclavas or without identification, or with vehicles that have 4 or 5 license plates, and they embed themselves. They pretend to be protesters in order to arrest protesters, or they pretend to be journalists in order to arrest journalists, or they tear gas medical officers. This is what we saw this time, where we set up pop-up emergency clinics, essentially for medics, volunteers, not even paid by government, to basically provide treatment, not just to protesters, but to bystanders and also police officers, let's not forget. And what happens is you tear gas them, you arrest people like Brandon, you then seize their medical records so that they can't even follow up with patients. And then the question is, for me, is actually who is behaving as if this is a riot? Who is providing the riotous activity? Who are the criminals that need to be prosecuted? So to end this point, I think there are many things that we need to do. We need to crowdsource, identify those officers. We need to bring cases against those particular officers individually, plus their commanding officers, to ensure that they are held accountable, not just for the deaths, not just for the injuries that Hussein has spoken about, but even for the violation of the right to protest and the right to expression. The previous panel spoke about the horror of having people coming to collect them in the middle of the night. That also needs to be prosecuted, because the freedom of expression is what makes us human beings. It is not just that the Constitution protects it. You are not a human being if you cannot think independently, if you cannot articulate yourself, and if you cannot take action in order to protect a Constitution that we all voted for.
Okay, right. So back to the point about, and we sort of systematically talk about not just the people, but the role of the flag, as you had brought it up. And my question is this: who owns the Kenyan flag?
Hiyo ni swali rahisi sana. Kenyan flag belongs to the people of Kenya. It's not a government item. It's not. It's ours. When you talk of black, it's us. It's the color of our skin. When you talk of red, it's the blood shed, and we continue to shed to this moment, to this very day. And green is our land, you know. So I mean, I find it absurd for anyone to even imagine or to tell us that you can't do this. This is a preserve of a few individuals, only the leaders. These are today's Mau-Maus. When you are Mekufa, we are seated here today having this conversation here at Fungamano in their honor, because they died so that we can be here today. And one thing I want to communicate is that even with the families that we have been going to, you know, you can see that, you know, that resolve and that pride that they have. When you go there with the flag and you're draping the flag over the coffin, and they say, wow, our son did not die for nothing. He didn't just die like that. He died truly fighting for this country. And when you go to the family, when you're handing over the flag, you can actually feel, you know, everyone there holding the mother, the father, the family in pride. So let it, wasitutishe, hiyo tunawaambia, you know, anyone we need to hang. In other countries, people hang these flowers in their backyards. They're there on the doors. And here we are being told that if you display the flag or if you put it, it's an offense. My foot, I mean, we can't have that. Wasitutishie, this is our country, and that is why we need to reclaim. For me, I'm a grassroots person. I'm not much of a talker. But you know, everyone, this is the time. Hakuna kitu yenye hatuwezi fanya. Hata kama kila mtu anataka ice cream, sasa tunaenda tunaambia serikali hiyo tax, nunulia kila mtu ice cream. I mean, you can't tell us anything. So not just the flag, everything, even the emblem. Ukitaka kuvaa kofia uweke nini, it is yours. So hiyo mambo ya kutishana, that fear is gone. When we lose our fear, thank you very much.
Gloria, same question. What is this problem with flag, and why do we have this sense of belief, and especially the security forces and the guys who run government, that they own this item, exclusively theirs?
Sorry?
They think they own this item. It's a government product.
One, we need to remember it's a symbol of this country. And if it was illegal, I think I'll be the first one in this place, Kushikwa. I have used it, yes, I have used it as a lesson, but not necessarily, but showing my patriotism to this country. We walk around with the bracelets, the Kenyan bracelets, but it has never been a problem. Everyone in the UK, you can identify a Kenyan from one when you just see that bracelet. But right now, when we're using it at this time, it becomes a problem. Then I think we are not the problem, they are the problem, and I think they should deal with it. And this is just speaking because we see people putting the flags on their cars. Right now, they're even ashamed of putting those flags in their cars because we will flag them that tutaanguka now. So I think it is not a problem right now. And carrying your flag is patriotism. They did it very proudly, and now we are the ones saying we the people are taking it proudly, and we are carrying our flags, and let them know that we have the power in our hands. And I think one of them, the symbol is our flag.
The same question, and I will come to the audience to get some reactions to it. And also, we're doing this on Space and live on NTV as well. So we'll go to that to get your comments. And this is our conversation of the same question really about this piece of item, the flag.
Let me step back and then come back to the flag. So in a crisis, all nations have three choices. The first is to twist towards constitutionalism. The second is to twist towards authoritarianism. And then the third choice is anarchy. Now, what this movement has done, it has twisted towards constitutionalism. In constitutionalism, there are things that are non-negotiable. One of the non-negotiables is the Constitution. That all our actions, our thoughts are captured in that place that we call a Bill of Rights. And it is clear to me when I saw those crowds march with constitutions and police officers without a single constitution among them, but with batons, I began to see the righteousness of what was happening on our streets. Consider that in a context where the state wants to disenfranchise you, the first thing it will do is it will tell you there are certain symbols of patriotism, of nationhood that do not belong to you. The flag does not belong to you. It's okay if you don't take a voter's card, or you lose your ID and don't bother to get another one, or you don't volunteer in a school clinic, in a school nearby you, or you do not volunteer in a clinic to oversee a public resource that keeps our people safe and dignified, or you don't volunteer at all. That is what a state tries to do, to remove that section in the Constitution that has expressed itself so loud in the last 3 weeks, and that is Article 1. If you do not seize this moment, not just as I think it was the president who spoke about this. If we do not seek this moment, we do not grab this moment as a moment for the third liberation, then we are going to squander this moment more generally. So I would say to those cabinet secretaries that are waiting, that are lobbying, and perhaps if they follow the same route that they took in 2027 and 22, that are beginning to put money together to buy a cabinet secretary seat. If they do not come with new ways of working, then consider they have come to reap where they did not sow. And they are coming essentially not to build a constitutional movement, to take us back to a place that we want to do. So wear your flag. If necessary, have a flag, have an outfit made from the flag, and let's walk around with underwear, trousers, t-shirts, and jackets.
Okay, great. Let's get a reaction from Space. I think Masika is online. Masika, could you tell us what your reflections of this protest were? And then I will come to the audience here to get their reflections as well.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate. Hope I'm audible enough.
You're great.
Yeah, so I really appreciate that we are having the Citizen Assembly, and one of the key things that we note clearly is that things have changed, times have changed. We are no longer in the olden days. I was listening that bit on the police and the police upholding the law. And maybe one of the things that the LSK can be helping us to know, because I think the police are enforcing the law, but they don't know the law. Because when you ask a police officer why they are arresting you, some of them clearly do not know even the procedure of arresting, whether you're a criminal or a suspect or something like that. Do they have it in their curriculum? Because these guys go in the training camps to do martial arts, to do work on how to use batons to beat up people. But when you ask a police officer to uphold the law when they are arresting you, do they have the knowledge of applying that law? So for me, that has been a question, because the problem with the police begins at the time of recruitment, because you look at even the people that the recruiters are looking for, then you clearly know that is where the rain starts beating us. Me personally, I did very well in O-level, and I wanted to join the police, but I was removed from the line because I was told that I needed to go to university and study. but I needed to become a police officer, whether I started as a serviceman and then later on be promoted, but they refused because of my grade in Form 4. So one of the things that we need to push, even as right now, because our voices are being heard, and this is how it's going to be, can we have anybody, even if I got an A in Form 4 and I want to become a police officer, I be allowed to become a police officer at whatever level I'm beginning, because we have graduates who got A's and they do not have jobs and they're doing border work. So if I got an A and I want to become a police officer, they should allow me to join the forces, because one of the things that we are battling with is some of the guys that are, I'm not saying that if you scored less in Form 4 you don't have brains, but clearly the most of the people that we meet in the police and they are arresting you, you can clearly tell that they do not even have the ability to engage with you and tell you why they are arresting you. They just come using muscles and power. So one, I think the police do not have the knowledge of the same law they follow only commands that they are given. So when you say you're doing a peaceful demonstration according to Article 37 and you're not destroying any property, is that police officer who is arresting you aware that there's such Article 37 in the Constitution? Because that is where the reins begins beating us. Can we have the law, part of the law trained to the police officers who enforce the law? And then arrest, one of the things, arrest should be done in the open, and somebody should be notified, because we are having abductions and the police are picking people from the street and their homes. Can we have, if you arrest me, please allow me to notify my family members that you have arrested me and where are you taking me? So as I finish on that police thing, I think the failure of the police starts at the place where you're recruiting them, and it also continues because of the curriculum they use to train the police officers. And then when I come on the flag thing, the flag is a national symbol. The same way we sing national anthems. I have a national anthem on my phone as the ringtone. Why am I not being questioned? The Constitution, I think, is Article 9 just says national symbols. It says the coat of arms, the national anthem, the flag. It is patriotism for me to put on, like somebody is saying, I can even do an underwear showing the national flag. It is the love of my country and the symbols that represent my country. So I think on the flag thing, it's an intrusion. We can use the flag in whichever way, as long as we are not disrespecting it. We're just using it to show the love that we have for the country.
Thank you very much. I need to hand over the microphone to, let's come back here. Sylvia Ngati, if you can take 1 minute and give us your
Thank you very much. When I say people power, you say people power, our power. I want to make quick reflections. My name is Musila Moisio, and I coordinate the movement. This is their country. There is a man that has to support, and the other. And all the heroes who be on social media, they just restrict on things that please. Social media attracted, abducted, ask now. Being a an active demand account from and so I see young people I am so elated about a few the title human rights defense. But before I sit down, I want to make another description. Position to protect their interests. In 1975, before Kariuki was king, it was very important that Kenya had become a country of 10 millionaires and 10 million beggars. Now today, the beggars are fighting against the millionaires of this country. What they're saying, enough of the advantage of us. And so the last statement as I sit down. Of the Constitution 2010. I will read because the greatest is an government where dictate the meaning. So what the president has done in curtailing the power of our as our leader. We accept the government that should be the Constitution actually is against. I know that the Constitution really don't get it. This come to a military state, and go want to guide. I more and thank you very much. To the gentleman. I just have a suggestion from that but there's a group of people who are really in touch with the people who are the proprietors in the villages back in the counties. I was saying, let's not forget the counties. That is the people who are also interacting with our people back in the villages. Government and stability. That's actually I was shocked to see them saying I was shocked that you the amount of people who came now it was really easy. I remember those guys the next kind of people are being treated. So what people are being this is as a patriot. Quite please ask with care and that also